We're here to talk about provenance, premiumisation and employment. Can I put those into plain speaking? Provenance is making a reputation from what you do. Premiumisation is making money from having a reputation and what you do. And employment is making jobs. I had a little tour of a number of the new wave of microbreweries in Ireland just last week, working on a paper, and to see both the nascent talent coming through, which is so exciting, and to see the companies, just to single one out in particular, because I've seen them from the mid-90s when the Carlow Brewing Company started, and to see a company now in a huge new state-of-the-art premises in Bagnallstown exporting to 20 countries, is to see what provenance, premiumisation and employment can actually mean to Ireland and to our future.
So we're going to start by defining what we mean by a brand, and on purpose the word brand here in the title of the slide is in inverted commas, because people have very different interpretations of what the word brand actually means. What we mean by brand is reputation, nothing more and nothing less. An umbrella brand is a collective reputation for everybody, a unified reputation. And this Food Brand Ireland is a brand that will communicate the collective reputation of the industry. It is not about a device to go on product. The context of nation or country branding is important, and the essence of Ireland's nation image is something that's very well documented, and food does not stand alone on the perception stakes. But we know that reputations matter. In fact, they matter a lot. And reputations can be built on and changed in customers' minds for enhanced returns in new sales or added value. For Food from Ireland, what matters is what customers think of Food from Ireland, and then how that thinking can be influenced for greater returns. And when we use the word customer, we mean that in its broadest sense, including consumers, trade customers or business that we sell to, and opinion formers such as media. Ireland is or can be renowned for its richness of nature, its pure raw ingredients, and its unique island location. And Ireland's farming family and tradition lies at the centre of a highly credible heart of green. But the sense of great discovery or surprise when images and narrative and research conveyed the variety and diversity of food from Ireland, as well as an evolving food culture, is a potential very strong point for Food Brand Ireland. So the identity for Food from Ireland was developed initially around the concept of words that represent place or sense of place in food, and eventually then a change in the script or font to be clearer, and an evolution to the concept of Taste Ireland, so that you get a distinctly different font between the Bubble Conversation font and the font under Taste Ireland. Or just Ireland, but always remarkable. Remembering as well that this is work in progress and that it needs sign-off, and it also needs sensibility testing in various markets.
When it comes to a nation and reputation, you're never going to get everybody to actually do exactly the one thing. There are a series of options underneath that. What we're concentrating on is what is the reputation that we want to develop abroad and at home. And that accommodates exceptions. Of course it does. You can't control everything. Do you think in France, for instance, they have the one system for anything, even for wine? So again, we'll never get everything right. We'll never get everybody the same way, nor do we want everybody the same way. We want a reputation for that kind of breadth and remarkability. And some of that can actually be debates that you can funnel all the time and start a conversation. So it's okay to have exceptions. And by the way, there are certain, entities within the industry who will be off-brand, who will not want to talk about actually coming from Ireland, and that's okay too. We can't control everything, but we can influence a reputation.
I think that it's a very powerful thing for the producer to put across the story, and I can think of for example, I know Brigitte Curtin in the audience here today has really made a point of doing that in the UK, saying we're Irish smoked Irish salmon. that is...
So good they named it twice.
Yeah.
Irish smoked Irish salmon.
But that's, I suppose maybe that's part of deciding what it is that you want to communicate and really kind of making that your core message that you're going to focus on getting out there through the media and so on. And that if you, as a producer, are clear in yourself about what it is you're trying to communicate, then the people that are trying to help you in that will be able to pick up on that, and your core message will carry through.
We would compete on the marketplace against French smoked Irish organic salmon or Canadian smoked Irish organic salmon. So it's very, very important to fully... I came up with this together with a Fortnum & Mason buyer because I told her about the difficulties of labelling laws, and I think it's essential that labelling laws and where anything comes from, derives from, whether it's fish or meat or cheese, whatever, it's very, very important. It's so important for us as producer, and it's essential, I think, for the consumer's point of view. So double labelling like that, just to ensure to make people understand that it's Irish smoked, Irish organic salmon, it's essential.
If you come to Ireland on holidays, or if you were in Ireland, if you take the adjacent farm to this hotel, and the one on north, south, east and west around the hotel, they're outside of this room, they're outside of this reality. And the only way they can get in this reality is through what Dr. Anya was saying this morning, which is if they are brought into, say, Wicklow lamb or Wicklow beef or Wicklow milk or whatever, and if that's available on the table in Wicklow, and if the Kerry lamb is available in Kerry, and Clare is available in Clare, etc. And then certain areas will have strengths in areas, and it'll travel. Because in the first instance, when you go to get Brand Ireland out into the marketplace, it is only really true, the strength of the cumulative voice of Ireland is only true if more and more people participate in it. And if you think about it, what she said this morning is very correct. You have the multinationals involved, Kerry Group, etc., and then you have the artisanal, and you're losing 90% of the population. They don't have a voice. And that has been because the people who own the stainless steel, which are processors, in most cases, control the marketing. They only do the marketing. So you have a very small number of people, relatively speaking, marketing. And by turning that in its head, and that processing sector becoming a service sector to the food industry, you fundamentally make a change.
It seems to me you've got an incredible proposition. It is a way to close the gap that we talked about, the perception gaps that are there. And there are very few places that could probably tell it the way that you could tell it. So I would say, you know, get on with it. It looks like it could be done.
The artisan is the one that has the best opportunity because you are the characters. And when you look at tourism and the breakdown of the tourists coming into this country, over half of them are culture seekers. So they want to learn about the country and its people. And you talked this morning all about farm diversification and culture and farm heritage, and your third and fourth generation. Many of you. So this is your story. So I think now, if you're not already embracing food tourism in a very small way, start it off and just, you know, dabble in it. And I know many of you out there who are my members are doing it. So it's just to start getting into that, because it will become an economic benefit for you. And Graham, you know, and Birgitte and people like you are the forerunners of this and have been doing this for 20 years and doing it successfully. And now a fantastic brand like Cashel Blue is opening a cheese dairy. This is incredible, but they're recognising opportunity. And I actually believe, in my small wisdom, that in 20 years' time, you'll be making more money from tourism than you will be selling your artisan produce. The
overall point is that the Food Brand Ireland is a very strong proposition which needs to be communicated. And I'm usually the guy who comes up with hyperbole, so I was delighted to hear Una coming up with the word remarkable. We have remarkable food and drink. Not just, and we're using that term as regards the beginning of a discussion. So I suppose if you like, even for somebody like me who's been writing about Irish food for 20 years, I'm delighted when the discussion keeps on re-happening in different sectors and on different levels and with different ideas.